the greatest in the kingdom. Memory verse, Matthew 18:3, and said, Verily I say unto you, except ye be converted, and become as little achildren, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 18:1a9-18. At that time the disciples came to Jesus and asked, Who, then, is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? 2. He called a little child to him, and placed the child among them. 3. And he said, Truly I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. 4. Therefore, whoever takes the lowly position of this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. 5. And whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me. 6. If anyone causes one of these little honors of those who believe in me to stumble, it would be better for them to have a large millstone hung around their neck and to be drowned in the depths of the sea. 7. Woe to the world because of the things that cause people to stumble. Such things must come, but woe to the person through whom they come. 8. If your hand or your foot causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to enter life maimed or crippled than to have 2 hands or 2 feet and be thrown into eternal fire. 9. And if your eye causes you to stumble, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to enter life with 1 eye than to have 2 eyes and be thrown into the fire of hell. I am who is the greatest in the kingdom. Jesus says this to the disciples. Your entire conception of greatness is wrong. You think in terms of your qualifications. You desire to get positions of power and privilege. You keep comparing yourselves to each other, with each of you trying to exalt himself over the others. You have to turn. You have to change your mindset completely. Look at this little 2-year-old. Become like him. This child is not seen as great by anybody. He is completely dependent on his parents. He has no influence. He is weaker than every adult. He cannot make money. He has no exceptional abilities. He has no authority and no power. He just loves his daddy. He knows he is dependent on him, and delights in him. He doesn't even think about himself compared to others. He just thinks about how wonderful his daddy is. You must change and become like that if you are to enter the kingdom of heaven. The disciples were interested in what their roles would be in Jesus' kingdom, rather than provide qualifications for the greatest or talk about a hierarchical structure. Being great in God's kingdom is not about prestige or privilege. Rather, it involves responsibility and sacrifice. Jesus told his disciples, Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will find it. Doesn't matter how many times you've been to church. Doesn't matter how much money you put in the offering bag. Doesn't matter how many commandments you've tried to obey. If you are not humble like a little child, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Who is the greatest in the kingdom? The greatest person in the kingdom will of course be Jesus. Whilst the world perceives greatness as the right and power to exercise authority over people, Jesus shows us that the first in the kingdom must be willing to be last, to be the servant of all. This is good news, because this means that everybody can be great. For anybody is able to serve. The implication of what he's saying is this: if you want to be great, then you got to be like a little child. You got to be like this little one. Being like a child here doesn't mean being childish, but being childlike. Whoever humbles himself like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 18:4, Unless you become humble like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 18:3, It is so important that you cannot be a Christian if you do not understand what humility is and you're not humbled like a child. It's absolute. According to world standard, greatness is seen in whoever is more macho, capable, powerful, persuasive. But Jesus says, the greatest one is the one who humbles himself like a little child. Greatness equal humble service. Greatness is not equal to how much money you have, how many cars you drive, how many employees there are, what's your rank in the army. Greatness is seen in humble service. Greatness is when you're willing to stoop down and get involved with messy lives. Greatness is seen when you're willing to get your hands dirty, although with gloves, but you're willing to get your hands dirty. Greatness is following Jesus. Jesus did not come to be served but to serve. To be great in the kingdom of heaven you must first be a servant of God and others. Humility is being a servant of all. People equate greatness with power, with control, with popularity. The primary result of humility is service. Conclusion: when we become like a child in the kingdom of heaven, we fall before God and realize that we are completely dependent upon Him for everything. We need Him. We need His guidance, His protection, His provision, His love, His forgiveness, His sustenance, His encouragement, His equipping, His illumination, His grace, His law, His patience, His compassion, His justice, His healing, and so much more. We need Him.